Hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be sharing 5 important tips that will help you improve your gameplay in Mobile Legends. Whether you're new, or just looking to improve your gameplay, this video will surely help you improve and dominate the game. So make sure to stick around, and by the end of the video, you will surely become smarter and better at playing the game. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. Let's start with the first tip, and that is map awareness. So, you must be asking, what is map awareness? Map awareness in Mobile Legends or any other MOBA game refers to the skill of keeping track of both your team's and the enemy's movements across the map. This involves paying close attention to the minimap while playing, which helps you understand the current state of the game, help you avoid ambushes, and allowing you to take advantage of opportunities. In easy words, map awareness means always knowing what is happening around the map, without being informed by your teammates. You need to check the minimap often to see where your teammates and enemies are. In short, it also means staying informed about what's happening around the map without letting it distract you from your own gameplay. So now that you know what map awareness means, the next question is, why is map awareness important? And what are the benefits of having map awareness? So let's start by answering the first question, and that is, why is map awareness important? And to answer that, map awareness is important because it helps you make better decisions in the game, allowing you to avoid being ambushed and ganked by the enemies. And it will also help you understand the enemies, and track their movements. For example, if you don't see anyone in the mini-map, then it probably means the enemies are coming to your lane, or hiding somewhere in the bush, waiting to ambush you and your team. And whenever the enemies are missing from the map, you should always consider playing safe and staying on guard. And always make sure to wait for the enemies to appear in the map again before you continue whatever you are doing. And all you need to do is just glance at the mini-map every few seconds, and that is how you can have map awareness. But if you think that constantly keeping an eye on the mini-map is difficult to do, then here are the timings of when you should look or glance at the mini-map. First, you should always glance or look at the mini-map when you are farming, or when you are about to farm, because most of the times, the enemies will camp and hide in the bush, waiting for you to come and start farming, so that they can ambush you and catch you off guard. Second, always make sure to check the minimap right before you start a fight, and if the enemies are missing, then you should probably avoid the fight, or wait until you can confirm that the enemy is alone. You should also check the minimap right before you enter a teamfight, so that you can know who is missing from the teamfight, especially when playing against enemies that can one-shot you, because these kinds of enemies are notorious for camping, even during a teamfight. Now, let's talk about the main benefits of having map awareness. The main benefits of having map awareness is that it will allow you to predict the enemy's next move, allowing you to dodge them, or even counter them, and possibly killing them instead. And having map awareness will also help you have fewer deaths, by allowing you to avoid being ambushed and ganked by the enemies. And it will also help you rotate better. And as we all know, rotation is one of the most important things in the game. And by knowing and being able to predict where the enemies could be, you could improve your rotation by a lot. Plus it will also help you farm more effectively. And not to mention, it could also help you control the pace of the game, increasing the chances of winning the game. Now, let's talk about the next tip. And that is, hero mastery and adapting like a pro. Most players in the game usually use only one role or a single hero. And if you're trying to rank up solo, you will definitely have a hard time ranking up, especially if you only know how to use a single hero. And in order to rank up quickly as a solo player, you must know how to use at least 3 or 5 heroes at most, especially if you are in legend rank and above. And most people ask me this question: how do you rank up as a solo player without losing a lot? And the answer is simple. You must know how to use multiple heroes, and try adjusting and using different heroes depending on the situation. Because most of the time, especially when playing solo, you will encounter players that only know how to play a single role. And during situations like that, most people usually expect the other player to adjust, without trying to adjust themselves. And in the end, they will usually end up without a tank, or sometimes even end up with 2 junglers. And that is when you will start to lose. But if you know how to use multiple heroes, then you will never be in a situation like that. And I know, having to adjust for your teammates might suck, especially when the other player is being toxic. But in the end, adjusting will benefit both you and your team. So sometimes it's important to put your ego aside and try adjusting for the sake of winning the game. And that's why it is very important to master different kinds of heroes. But if you're having a difficult time learning how to use different heroes, then I'd recommend you to try mastering at least 2 different roles. And that way, even if someone else is using the hero you wanted to use, you will still be able to use another hero without much issue. And I'd recommend you to prioritize trying to master the fighter role. Remember, if you can master the fighter role, then you will be able to play the hyper, tank, and also as the EXP, meaning you will be able to play 3 roles using fighters. And here is the list of fighters that can be used as EXP laner and also as the jungler. And here is the list of fighters that can be used as both the tank and EXP laner. And here is the list of fighters that can be used as the tank, fighter, and EXP laner. Remember, the fighter is one of the most versatile roles in the game, and if you're confused about which role you should master, then fighter should definitely be one of them. Now, let's talk about the third tip, and that is, items and builds. Most players in the game will usually make the mistake of copying other people's build in the game. And just because your favorite player is using a certain build, it doesn't mean copying their build will make you stronger. In fact, every situation requires a different build. So I'd highly recommend you guys to create your own build, depending on the enemy's pick, and also with the game situation. But if you're a new player, then you will probably have a hard time creating your own build. And if that's the case, then you could go to settings, and enable the counter build option. And that way, you will be recommended to buy items that can counter enemy heroes. And here are a few examples of how to counter enemy heroes using different kinds of builds. If you are playing against enemies with any kind of healing, regeneration or shield ability, as shown in the screen, then you should consider buying Dominance Ice if you are using a tank or sustain hero. But if you are using a hero that deals physical damage, then you should buy Sea Halberd. And if you are using a mage, then you should buy Glowing Wand. Remember, these 3 items can counter heroes with healing, regeneration, and shield abilities, by greatly reducing their effects, so you must always keep that in mind when playing against them. But let's say you are the one who's using a healer, and the enemies buy those 3 items to counter you. And if that's the case, then you should buy Oracle to counter those items, as Oracle will greatly increase your healing, regeneration, and shield abilities. And if you're playing against enemies with a lot of health, like Fredrin, Barats, and Hylos, then you should buy Demon Hunter Blade if you are using a physical hero. But if you are using a magical hero, then you should buy Wishing Lantern to counter high HP enemies. Remember, these are the 2 items that can counter heroes with a huge amount of HP. And these were just a few examples of how knowing your item and builds could possibly change the tide of the game. And I'd recommend you guys to always read the description of every single item before you consider using them, so that you would know how they work and function. And do that with all items, and you will easily be able to create your own build depending on the situation. But if you guys want me to make an in-depth video about every single item and builds in the game, then make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will make a video about it in the future. Now, let's talk about the next tip, and that is, positioning, rotation, and timing. Positioning, rotation, and timing are essential concepts in the game. So, let's start with positioning. The meaning of positioning is knowing where to stand during fights, or while moving around the map. It's important because a good positioning ensures you deal damage without taking unnecessary risk, and it will also help you avoid getting caught out of place by the enemies. And the meaning of rotation is moving from one lane to another lane, to help your teammates fight or take important objectives. It is important because it lets you assist your teammates in taking objectives, and attacking the enemies in other lanes. And a good rotation helps your team stay strong across the map, and it also keeps pressure on the enemy's team, giving you and your team the upper hand. And timing is all about doing things at the right moment, like using skills or going for objectives. It is important because good timing can help you win fights, secure kills, or take objectives like the turtle or lord. For example, you should wait for the enemy to use their important skills before entering the fight, or time your attack when an objective is about to spawn. Good timing will always help you make the most out of your move, and it will also allow you to avoid silly mistakes in important situations. And if you combine all these three together when playing the game, you will definitely be able to dominate the game with ease. For example, if you are using a tank or support, you must always position yourself in front of your teammates, so that you can absorb all the damage from the enemies. And your rotation as the support or tank should always start with helping your jungler, and then helping your marksman. And after that, you should rotate around the map with your mage. And you must always be the one who's checking the bush, and you are also the one who's responsible for starting the fight. And you should always wait for your teammates and the right opportunity before engaging in a fight. And that's how you position, rotate, and time your movement as the tank. And if you're using the marksman or mage, you must always deal damage to the enemies from a safe distance. And you must always position yourself behind your tank or fighter, and you should also wait for your tank to start the fight. And as the mage or marksman, you should never rotate alone, and you should also never go to unchecked bushes, as the enemies could be hiding. And if you're using the fighter, then you should always clear your lanes and rotate around the map to help your teammates. And during a team fight, you should always position yourself near the tank. And remember, a fighter is supposed to deal and absorb damage. So you're pretty much the secondary tank of your team. And like just the marksman and mage, you should always wait for your tank to start the fight. And these were just a few examples of how you should rotate, position, and time your attacks. But if you guys want me to make a full detailed video on this topic, then make sure to let me know in the comment section. Now, let's talk about the next tip, and that is, watching professional players and learning from their gameplay. I know, it might not sound very useful, but watching pro players play can really help you out a lot, especially if you're new to the game. As watching professional players could help you understand your mistakes better, and it could also help you learn new strategies, especially with different heroes. And watching pro players will also help you realize the importance of map awareness, team coordinations, positioning, and timing. You should try watching tournaments that are usually live streamed on the official channel of Mobile Legends, and I can assure you that you won't regret watching them, especially if you're trying to learn and improve your gameplay. And I'd recommend you to watch these popular YouTubers on the screen. They are all pro players, and watching their gameplay could teach you a lot of new things. Or you could also just watch this guy, as he makes one of the best videos on YouTube. And that's it for today. Make sure to leave a like if you have watched this far. And consider leaving your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to my channel if you're new. I make tutorials and informative videos about the game. Thank you for watching.